Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., but I did have a dream. And it's a dream that took place over a decade ago, and I think it was brought about by one of the more activist Supreme Court decisions, but I'm not clear in my memory as to the exact timing. But here was the dream. It was a nightmare. It was a vision of a United States Supreme Court issuing a ruling that there could be no reference to God in any of our public buildings in the United States because of the argument that's been made by the gentleman on the other side of the aisle, the argument that it's demonstrably unconstitutional. Now, I've spent my life in the contracting business, and my dream unfolded this way, that the federal government was forced by a Supreme Court to issue a contract to require that all references to God be eradicated from our public buildings and our public documents. And that vision that's in my mind today, as I heard Mr. Pence use the word chisel, is just that. People out there in hard hats and dust masks and ear protectors with jackhammers chiseling the word God off of every federal building in the United States of America. And I would challenge anybody that could walk around this Capitol building of Washington, D.C. and count all the references to God that we have that are impressed into the building, that are chiseled into the marble, into the concrete, that are part of the form and structure of this government. We're so steeped in our faith that when we built buildings, they were monuments to the God that gave us the rights that built America. And that nightmare that I had has recurred to me a few times as I think about how an activist Supreme Court might rule. But when I hear this argument that it's demonstrably unconstitutional, I go to the Constitution to find the reference point that must be pointed out. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. What does that mean? It doesn't mean we go to Jefferson's letter to the Danbury Baptist Church for our guidance. That is not our Constitution, and that is a little line and a phrase in there that's been embellished way beyond the intent of the author of that language. We go to the Constitution because, as Justice Thomas says, the Constitution is my stare decisis. What's your foundation? What's your basis? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. And what does that mean? Historically, by the text of it, by the definitions of the words, it means that Congress shall not establish a religion. Congress shall not declare a denomination to be the religion of the land. That means we have freedom of religion to select our own denominations, and it means no more than that. But it's clear from the writings of our founding fathers, they all understood that faith in God was what brought this nation to bear, and without it there would be no America. And so I would ask if one could concede that point, that faith in God formed the minds and the positions of the people who shaped this nation, and I believe that they were guided by the inspiration from God. I believe the founding fathers were moved around like men on a chessboard, put in place at that point in time so this world could have America. And to think that there wouldn't be an America without our faith in God and without God himself, then think what kind of an America would those who take the position that this is unconstitutional or in God we trust should be eradicated from the knowledge and the conscience of America. What kind of America would they build? What kind of America would they shape? How do they envision this country to be devoid of our faith, devoid of the spirit that moves us to reach out for our fellow man and woman, and our obligation to lift this country up to another level of our destiny, to another level of greatness in keeping with the continuity of the history of this great nation? What's their future for this country if they would scrub "In God We Trust" from the Visitor Center? If they would do that, they would scrub the Ten Commandments from the Supreme Court building itself, and they would scrub it from the knowledge of every little child growing up in America, and they would scrub it from the pledge as well. And in the end, it wouldn't be an agnostic nation, it would be an atheistic nation imposed by the minds of people who revert to the hardcore left. And that's the motive on this. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'd say that, again, the question, what kind of a nation do they seek? And I think it's up to them to seek to answer that question. For me, I stand on this national pledge, and I thank the gentleman from Virginia for bringing this resolution, and I encourage its adoption. I thank you very much, and I yield back the balance of my time.